Hey, it's Tuesday already. It's already Tuesday. Today we're going to talk about the IRS dropping rules like T Swift drops her next album, employees breaking rules, and Apple savings accounts. Now it's an Apple savings account.
What you say?
I got to say that, like, going over the news this morning, it was like this element of, I'm so sick of talking about EVs.
So sick of it.
I
Like,
am. And that's
can we
probably
get someone
bad.
that comes out with some big gas guzzler? Actually, you know what?
That would actually crush it.
If you missed our Saturday email, go back, go to the
amazing
Asota website and go find the Saturday email. First of all, the interview with Colby is great, but then there was this section about this, like, the best way I can describe it is a beast of a truck, which probably literally negates everything that EVs are trying to do on the planet in
single-handedly.
Like one run.
Single-handedly. It was literally a semi truck that looked like it had like 50 like front scooped air intake engines, all like it looked like an AI generated image.
Right. Yes, that's exactly what
it was like. Build a semi with 100 engines powering it. And that's exactly what it looks like in your mind. That's so true. It's so true. So
there
Kyle and I
we didn't have to talk about EVs.
No, yeah, we've got to balance it out. We got to balance it out. Yeah, I don't even know what we're talking about. We just were, before we got on the show, we were just saying if Kyle's internet drops out, I'm just going to finish whatever sentence he starts. And then that got us on this kick of like, hey, we should have a new segment on the Tonight Show that is called Finish Each Other's Sentences, where one person has to tee them up and the other person has to finish. I'm sure we'll get in trouble with that, but I think that might actually have to happen. It's just too good.
I love it.
It's too good.
I love it.
What else are we talking about today?
I don't know. Hey, we're going to be doing that. We're 2 weeks away from Tampa. Two weeks away from Tampa. That means if you're going to Digital Dealer, or if you're not going to Digital Dealer and you just want to see the premiere of the show that we recorded in Arlington, Texas a couple weeks ago. Super dynamic. Tell some stories behind the scenes of real dealerships. We're gonna be doing that. Happy hour, food, concessions. We're doing concessions.
We're going all into the theater.
Full theater. Like, you can get your popcorn and your peanut M&Ms and all the goods.
The last 2 years at Digital Dealer, we've done the Asota family reunion, which has been a blast, and they were always packed. Full of dealers, and like both of those parties were off the hook, so we're off the chain. So we're trying to do it again, but in a theater. You know, we're trying to do it. You do things 2 years in a row, and then you're like, okay, we did the thing. Now we're going to do it different in Tampa. Tickets are super cheap, way cheaper than the family reunion was last year, less than half of that actually. And if you're a dealer,
cheaper than a movie.
I know it. And if you're a dealer and you're going to Digital Dealer, we're going to let you in for free. It's like free movies, but free, lots of fun. So check it out, asotox.com. Get your tickets, have all that fun. All right, let's talk about some news. So again, today, because there's so much EV news, we actually usually do 2 auto stories and 1 non-auto story. Today, we're doing 2 non-auto stories because super applicable. Let's go with number 1. Automakers, dealers, and in-market EV consumers were waiting for the IRS to release their new EV tax credit rules like a teenager waiting for the next Taylor Swift drop. After the new sourcing rules went into effect, there were only 6 battery electric vehicle models that were left standing, still qualifying for the $7,500 credit. Cadillac Lyriq, Chevy Bolt, certain versions of the Tesla Model 3 and Model Y, the Ford E-Transit, I can't remember what that looks like, and the F-150 Lightning. That's it. Only 6. You know, there were a bunch of vehicles that lost half of the credit, that instead of $7,500, they get $3,750, because a lot of this is because the battery sourcing materials have to come from certain places, and that affects the credit. Here's a quote from Albert Gore, Executive Director of Zero Emissions Transportation Association. This man's an optimist. He says, the great news here, it's great news, everybody, that based on Q1 sales volumes, more than 90% of vehicles that were eligible for the credit before April 18th are still eligible, with the vast majority still eligible for the full credit. So he's saying, like, most of the vehicles that were eligible
what he's saying is nobody wants a Cadillac Lyriq or Chevy Bolt.
Dude, Chevy Bolt price.
He just said it real nice.
I had to look it up. The Chevy Bolt price starting $26,900. You subtract $7,500 from that, and you're under 20 grand for an EV. Is that? Am I missing something?
You're nailing it. Yeah. And still nobody wants them. Is this where we get a letter from
Domino's?
Chevy
No, Domino's wanted them.
Domino's wants them, and
Domino's
then they
was
don't want to put Apple CarPlay in them right after that.
Here we go. Here we go.
I've
been seeing more heat from that online. I've been seeing more heat for the not having CarPlay in the future TVs. I mean, in like every news source I can find
is crushing them.
So we'll see. I don't know. This might be a faster callback.
Yeah, way faster.
I'm doubling down on that prediction. I'm doubling down on that prediction. But here's the deal. You know, we have dealers, automakers, everyone just, I mean, they can only react. React. And so, you know, EV education still.
What I would do, I would print off those documents of what does and doesn't get stuff and put them in your salespeople's hands so they know they have the conversation. Do that this morning, right now. Laminate those jokers. Put them in a binder so that they can educate their customers. That's the like right now actionable piece. Go find it, print it, put it in a place.
Find it, print it, put it into place. I like it.
There you go.
I like it. I like it. Okay. All right. We're moving on. Speaking of putting things in their place.
Stop. Segue.
Time. I love this one so much. New research indicates that a retail culture, and just as a reminder, dealers are retailers, a retail culture that allows employees to bend the rules for customers can overall enhance customer loyalty, as well as it make the employees be more engaged overall. That sounds like two wins to me. In the Harvard Business Review, the study's authors, Irene Kim of University of British Columbia and Yuji Zhan of Wilfrid Laurier University stated regarding customers that customers clearly recognize when employees take risks to be helpful. And research shows that pro-customer rule breaking has desirable customer outcomes. Regarding the employee side, they said the employees that did bend the rules were less emotionally exhausted, more satisfied with their job overall, and were more likely to share their organization's concerns, ideas, and suggestions to improve existing rules and practices for customer service. And it also went on to notice that, like, hey, when the rules are bent, and they call them all of their violations of the rules, they were relatively minor, and that high manager engagement is really key for those situations, you know, that require, you know, big exceptions and things like that. So it sounds like to me, Nordstrom's got something right. Disney's got something right. You're like, I don't know. Like, it's the opposite of full control.
Real life stories of how I know that people have literally shifted a culture within a store. One is someone that I used to work with. Her name is Patty. Before she worked with the Nelson Group, I believe it was World Market that she had worked with, which is kind of like a retail, kind of like taste of everything, not Hobby Lobby, but like kind of establishment, if you don't know what that is. But she was a manager there. And she put in this employee empowerment piece, which was like, hey, look, go above and beyond, serve the customer, even if it's not like in the handbook or anything like that. And the only thing that I'm going to do is post-mortem, whatever happened afterwards, we're just going to assess how accurate your decision was based on what I would do.
That's great.
But you can't come to me first. You have to solve it on your own.
Solve it first. Dude, I love that.
Totally changed customer employee experience. They felt empowered. Also, our good friend Patrick Abad at Beaver Toyota, and I can't remember the dollar amount, but basically there's a dollar amount that he's set that he's just empowered his people with, that if it's under that, they don't, like, a receptionist doesn't have to ask a manager. It's like, oh, that's an issue. You have a problem. There's an upset person. Boom, fixed. I'm going to take ownership of it and go. And he has attributed massive retention numbers to that. And so, you know, from, like, again, customer employee satisfaction, empowering the employee to make quality decisions that like lean into career pathing and less job, and give customers the ability to, like, have earned trust within the organization. Boom, two real practical things. And this speaks exactly to it. So I don't know what that looks like for, you know, it's different for every store, different for every retailer, but I think that it's less about like, hey, go bend the rules, more about saying you're empowered to make customer first decisions.
For sure.
You know?
I mean, you see this, you just use the word ownership, and that makes me think of like the Ritz-Carlton. And they do have this policy that when a customer has a request or a concern, whoever it is, if you're the guy sweeping the floor, if you're the guy at the desk, if you're the gal at the front office, whatever it is, you have to own the solution from beginning to end. Like, you are responsible to make sure that that gets satisfied. And that level of ownership combined with some empowerment, like, it's, if you can't see that and can't deploy into that, then there really is an element where like you're probably holding things too tightly and you're not doing yourself any favors.
Yeah. And from a management side of things, it just takes tons of time to always be figuring out whether or not you're going to say yes or no, and people coming to you and asking questions and all that type of stuff. It just clears the air and clears space for people to run and move fast.
For sure. For sure. Hey, let's get back to one question that came up. Rob Angus weighed in on the last story in the live stream. Says, am I correct? You would have to have tax owing $7,500 to net the full benefit, non-refundable, no carrier? No, I don't believe that's the case. I believe this is a tax credit, not a tax refund. So you don't have to owe any income taxes or anything. That credit is immediately, actually, does it get claimed at the dealer level? Like,
it will in 2024 is
got
what
you. In the future, it's going to happen as part of the transaction.
On new and used cars. So in the future, it'll be at a transaction level. Right now, it's still a credit level.
So that if you're buying a Chevy Bolt, and when that happens, it's literally you have 30% equity in the vehicle when you drive it off the lot. That's going to lease really, really well.
Yeah, or they're going to raise the prices.
I don't think so. Yeah, probably a little both. Probably a little both. I don't know how to segue into this.
Speaking of a little bit of everything.
Oh,
stop. Segue
time.
In another shot to traditional banking and literally owning everything in the world, Apple is diving into the savings game with its new Apple Card savings account that has an impressive, Paul, 4.15 APY. It's managed right in the Wallet app, integrates seamlessly with Apple Card's daily cash rewards, so they go right into your savings account. Right now, it is managed by Goldman Sachs and debuted number 11 on Bankrate's best savings account list. So like
right out of the gate,
straight to the top. Setting up the savings account, just like many things, Apple takes less than 60 seconds. You could do it before we're done with this.
I did. I actually did it this morning. The second I saw this article, I'm like, let me see what this is all about. Literally clicked on the three dots. It was like savings account. Clicked on that. It was like, what's your social security number? Had no problem putting that in. And it terms and condition, accept. And literally it was like opening account, twirly, 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 twirly. Da-da! Would you like to move your Apple Cash balance into the account? Yeah, I would. Move my $65 over there. So I have $65 at the moment, earning 4.1% in my new Apple savings account. And if you want to add money, it's like, oh, Apple Pay wallet, bank account, move it there. I'll tell you what, traditional bank, you have to be like, oh boy, because the next thing I'm doing, I'm going to email my bank or whatever and be like, hey, I got a 4.1% in my savings account over here. And it's only going to take me one tap to move it over. Like
all that money.
I can't believe I opened a savings account that fast. Have you opened a savings account? It's so annoying. Right?
It is.
Even if it's at your bank, it's like, got to enter your address and you're this and you're that.
Got to do all the things. They were just like, no, we have all your information already. We're just going to slide a bop, and dude, here we go.
I couldn't believe how easy it was.
I guarantee you, I'm surprised they didn't just like release full-on checking accounts right along.
I know. I was too. It's like
Goldman
direct
Sachs,
deposit information. You're like direct. Just think of Goldman Sachs' move into the retail banking industry.
Yo, can you imagine
that?
Because all of the people that have Apple Card rewards already sitting there, just the funds that Goldman Sachs this morning already acquired.
At least $65 from me.
I mean, probably billions of dollars worth just in like a flash.
And I'm literally probably within 12 hours of moving a lot more money over there that's just sitting. You know what I mean?
Absolutely are. Why not?
Like, why do I want to earn 1.75? Right. And I honestly don't really feel even like calling my bank, and being like, hey, what can you do?
Because they can't, Paul, because they can't. And you already
even
know
if they could, it's so easy. I'm trying to think. If you had to move the money out of the account back into your checking account, that might be a little bit of a pain.
Yeah. And like, I mean, a lot of checking accounts and checking cards are linked to rewards with the savings account. So there could be like some additional benefit.
Maybe. But I also have no idea how like to access the savings account if I don't have my phone. right? Like, I don't know. I don't have an account number. I don't have a
there's no
number.
like login to
but
browser.
That just goes to show you the level of trust that Apple has built. That is just like, yeah, I mean, granted, it was 65.
Okay. There's the tie down right there, right? It's like when something new comes into your retail business entity, you decide to do widgety wodgety, right? As a service or a product offering. Have you built enough trust with your consumer base that the only logical application is to go, yep, I'll do that with you too.
Yeah.
And if you can't answer that question, then start working on trust with your loyalty base. I can point you up 2 stories and you might get a little bit of that.
Can't think of a better way to end the show than that. Thank you for being with us today. Again, it's Tuesday. You have trust to build. You have employees to empower. You have customers to make happy. And you have a Tampa event to register for.